I'm Karen Burton, and I lost 80 pounds on a meat-based, low-carb diet. And all I wanted to do when I started eating this way was to lose weight. I had carried a lot of weight for a lot of years and tried every diet under the sun. That if you have also struggled with diets for a long time, you've also tried some of these same things. The Weight Watchers, the Pritikin diet, the liquid diets, the tuna fish diet, the low calorie diet. Goodness, just almost too many to name. There have been quite a few. And I would lose, they all work for a short time. I would lose some of the weight, sometimes even up to 50 pounds. There were 3 times I actually lost 50 pounds using those different methods, and then over time the weight would come back, and then more would come back on top of that. I actually started dieting when I weighed about 150 pounds, and 3 years ago when I found, well, it's longer ago than that, I guess it's been about 5 or 6 years since I've stumbled across keto dieting, and at that time I weighed 272 pounds. I had dieted my way up from 150 to 272 pounds. Clearly, the things that I had been trying over the years were not working. And keto, you've seen maybe some of my earlier videos. I talked about how I saw a coworker lose 100 pounds in 6 months. You know, and he was doing what I considered at the time to be extreme and to be dangerous. You know, and I do explain that actually it was not as extreme as some of the other things we do when our health spirals out of control. It wasn't extreme at all. It just was strange. I hadn't heard of it before. And it wasn't dangerous at all, even though I thought it was. But because I couldn't deny what I was seeing, that he actually looked healthier every single day that I saw this gentleman, I had to go research. I went to the library, pulled every book off the shelf that I could find that had to do with keto, low carb, high fat, paleo, carnivore, all of those kinds of diets, sugar issues, all of those things, which, you know, I was not a type 2 diabetic, probably because of genetics. You know, I certainly was headed that way, but did not know it at the time. But anyway, I found that I had to go learn why what I'm seeing in front of my face, as far as this man getting healthier, eating in a way that I thought would harm his body, why is he actually getting healthier? And that was really a turn point in my life. I was not ready to go do what he was doing, but I did. As I was reading and studying, I found out what a lot of people were getting the same kinds of results. Is slower, not losing 100 pounds in 6 months certainly, but with ketogenic diet. So I started ketogenic diet. I made all the keto treats. I bought all the keto. Well, at that time there weren't a lot of keto things on the shelf like there are today. But that started the ball rolling. I started learning what is real food that nourishes my body and what is not real food that actually harms my body when I eat it. And over time, I have cleaned that up. I lost very slowly because I learned very slowly. You know, like I said, I really started out eating, I just traded one kind of junk food for another kind of junk food. You know, I was able to lose weight, but it was slow in the beginning. So it took about 3 years. Took a couple years just playing with keto, trying to figure out how to do this, how to fit it into my lifestyle. And then another 3 years really when I started to gain some traction, started to find the things that worked for me, and I lost that 80 pounds. I have maintained that 80-pound weight loss for about 1.5 years now. I still have another 50 pounds that I want to lose, and it's, you know, like I said, I've kind of been maintaining the past 1.5 years, but I've also experimented with a lot of different things, and I've learned a lot of different things. And even though I haven't lost that last 50 pounds yet, I still am healthier than I was 30 years ago. And really, I do believe if I had not changed my way of eating significantly 3 years ago, that I probably wouldn't even be here today. So I am grateful for the journey. The purpose of this channel is to give people hope. If you are stuck, you've tried everything, things are not working, you see that some things are working for other people, but they don't seem to be working for you, or you're not able to follow through on them, I just am hoping that others might be inspired by my journey. Like I said, I started this ketogenic diet to lose weight. My total focus was on that. I did feel like my body was beginning to shut down, that I was probably only 2 or 3 years away from death. This is how I felt 6 years ago. That was what I thought, and I thought that the excess weight was the cause of all those problems, because that's what we've always been told, right? And I have found out through experimentation on myself and a lot of reading and a lot of studying that the weight was a symptom of the sickness that I had inside, which is the metabolism was totally screwed up. The hormones were way out of whack. Fasting insulin, whoever heard of checking that before? Well, you know it's a precursor to type 2 diabetes. If you have elevated fasting insulin, that can show up 10 years before type 2 diabetes happens all of a sudden on an A1C test at your doctor's. And my fasting insulin had been steadily increasing over the years. My doctor did check it a few times. It was steadily increasing, and I was definitely headed in that way and didn't even know, because my A1C was always okay. Not great, but okay. 5.7 to 5.8 was normally what I was running in those days. Now we're down closer to 5.6, 5.5, which is much healthier. But what I found out was when you fix that, a lot of these other things get fixed too. And I even attributed that as I was losing weight steadily in the beginning, that, oh, well, my knees don't hurt, my joints don't hurt anymore because I'm not putting so much weight on them. Although that did not account for my hand pain. I had hand and wrist pain that went away after a few months of eating clean keto. And I kind of don't know what the weight issue would be on that. We understand knees and ankles, but not so much the hands. And then I found out that I wasn't as depressed anymore. I had a better mood. I had better energy. A lot of those things, again, I attributed to losing weight. Well, what I have found out over these 3 years of experimenting and trying different things, and a lot of things I tried that did not work very well, and we're going to talk about an experiment, an accidental experiment I did this summer with that. I found out that returning to eating things that are not really food and harm my body will bring all those symptoms back as quickly as 1 or 2 weeks. So it's not the weight, it's what happens inside that causes these other problems. If I start eating things that are not food and that harm my body, and those are things that come in a bag, usually any kind of a bag or a box, those are the kinds of things that my knees and my ankles and my wrists and my hands will begin to cramp up. And if I stay on that, as I did this summer, for an extended period of time, then my knees and ankles actually get weak and start to give out on me, even with a minimal amount of weight gain. So it's not, the weight gain is just one of many symptoms of illness that is actually inside. So, I'm pretty excited about all the healing that was done in my body. I call it accidental because I didn't know that that's what I was signing up for when I reduced my carbs and started eating real food. I guess that should kind of be common sense. But having been on so many diets that promised so many things over the years, I just had no idea that actually I was very sick inside and I knew I was sick. I mean, you could feel that. You could feel the body shutting down. I knew that it was a problem. I didn't think it was reversible I was only trying to reverse the continuation. It did seem to be accelerating at that time, and actually much of it has been reversed. I was on high blood pressure medicine for over 20 years, and I have been off of that now for 2 or 3 years. I was on acid reflux medication. The acid reflux was really bad, and that was a lot of years too, 10 or 15 years. I was on that. Antidepressants I was on for over 20 years. I have been off all of those for a few years now. I wish I would have, I probably did write them down somewhere, but it's been quite a while. I don't even take vitamins anymore. I was thinking the difference between a year ago and now, and am I healthier? I'm definitely a lot healthier than I was 2 or 3 years ago. But even a year ago, I had a handful of vitamins that I was taking every day. I don't take any vitamins now. None. Once in a while, if I really need to hit the ground running at 6 in the morning and I know I need to be running hard and be on it all day until 9 o'clock at night, I might take a rhodiola, which is a little more boost than what I get from a cup of coffee. But that's it. And I put iodine drops in my coffee, which I had forgotten about. So those 2 things I do, but that's it. I don't even take a multivitamin. So I hope that inspires somebody. I wish I would have known these things 50 years ago. My quality of life would have been better, and the quality of life of those around me. My husband, my children, grandchildren, sister, parents, everything. When we're functioning better, when we're healthier, then everything that we do, everything that we are, everything that we bring every time we walk into a room is improved, right? And that's what we want to be. We want to be our best selves every day. It's hard to believe, if you have not experienced it, that you actually can get all these things just from changing a few things that you eat. I mean, truly, most of these changes came from just changing what I eat, not making any other changes. That first 60 pounds, definitely I was on the couch for that first 60 pounds, the same way that I had been for the past 30 years. I did not move much. I wasn't getting sunlight. I wasn't getting a great amount of sleep. Other lifestyle factors that I have improved over the past couple of years. I didn't do those for the first 60 pounds. I couldn't. I was too sick. So it's never too late. That's the message. It's never too late. You are not too sick to begin, because all you have to do is quit eating the stuff that harms your body. Start eating the stuff that doesn't harm your body. And even better than that is the stuff that actually feeds your body, specifically fatty meat. And I'm not, people who see me eat on a regular basis call me a carnivore, and I reject that, because that's a label that just messes a lot of people up. Okay, I'm not a carnivore. There are days, sometimes several days in a row, where I only eat meat or animal products. I mean, that does happen. But I have liver and onions about once a week, so I'm going to eat my onion every week. And I'll have a salad. If I want a salad, I have a salad. If I want pickles or olives, I use a lot of different spices when I feel like it. When I don't feel like it, it's just a hamburger or a steak with some salt and pepper on it. Butter and eggs, those are staples in my home. But yeah, we're not that strict. If it's real food, and vegetables are real food, fruits are real food, and so when I want them, I eat them. We can't change what happened in the past. We can't change what we did or didn't know before today, right? We can't change that. We can't change the things that we did, or the things that we didn't do, or the things that we knew to do, the things that we didn't know to do. We can't change those things. All we can do is change what we're doing today. We can learn more today. We can find different ways to apply what we've learned so that we can be a better version of ourselves. Hopefully a little bit better version every day, right? That's what I strive for. Just a little bit better today. than I was yesterday. And some days it's just, oh my goodness, if I can be as good today as I was yesterday, I'm going to call that a win, because there's struggles, right? Everybody has struggles. So this summer, I wanted to share with you a little struggle that we had, and it's the kind of thing, so I'm going to call it a oops. Okay, everybody does an oops. So I've lost all this weight, I've gained all this healing, I've pretty much gained a new life, right? I have life and plans and energy and a lot of things I sure did not have when I was looking into my future 3-4 years ago. So pretty excited about that. And then life happens like it does to everybody, and we had a very stressful situation this summer. Happens to everybody. It was a family member who needed some extra help, and I was grateful to be in a position where I was healthy enough. I am retired, so I had the time and I had the energy and certainly the willingness to jump in and help. It was great to be able to do that. But it came with a lot of challenges that I have not had to face before. As I've been building this new lifestyle with my husband, I've been very blessed that my husband has just come right along with me, and he's glad to eat the things that I'm willing to eat. And when I need to go for a walk, I just threaten to get a dog, and he says, I'll go for a walk with you. So, I have a walking partner every day. Well, this summer, as we were working through the family challenge, I have family members who are really heavy carb eaters. And I'm not talking about potatoes and corn. I'm talking about things that come in a box, things that come in a bag. I'm talking about really heavy carb eaters. And I had forgotten what that lifestyle was like. Even though I lived that lifestyle for 60 years, I forgot what it's like to be hungry every 2 hours, truly hungry. Because my lifestyle, and my husband is the same way, we get up, we eat when we're hungry. And when we get hungry is sometime between 11 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. That's when we're eating breakfast. And that breakfast might be eggs, or it might be a breakfast casserole, or it might be a hamburger. It's whatever kind of healthy food is available at the time. That's what we eat. And then we normally eat a dinner somewhere between 5 and 6, sometimes 7. Whenever we're hungry again, we have usually 2 meals a day, and that's it. We don't do a lot of snacking. I mean, snacks happen occasionally, but not very often. And when they do, they're things like olives and pickles and cheese and pork rinds. We have those kinds of snacks. Maybe some meatballs. Those are the things that count as snacks at my house. So being around the carb eaters, oh my goodness. So they get up in the morning, first thing they want is a big bowl of cereal, right? Or a donut or a waffle or a whatever. All those things I don't eat anymore. And I can have coffee and enjoy their company. That works out pretty well. Where 2 hours later, we're looking for snacks. Like, I like snacks. And even if they're just pulling nuts out of the cupboard, I really like those. I like them enough that I'm not going to have just one handful, right? I'm going to have a few handfuls. And then a couple hours later, we're going to go out somewhere and we're going to get some lunch. Well, I can have a hamburger on a plate without a bun. I've been doing this for quite a while now. That's just a normal thing that I order when I go out. I get a hamburger without a bun. Sometimes I eat the tomato and lettuce and onion with it if I want to. Sometimes I'll have a side salad or some coleslaw if I want to. But then they're going to have a homemade pie for dessert. So this summer, there were some things like that ended up on my plate and on my fork and in my belly. Nobody force-fed me, but I was in situations, and it was also a very high stress situation. So hormones are fluctuating because of the stress. We're losing sleep. Hormones are out of whack because of the sleep. All of these things, not making excuses, just telling you how it is. That I gained 20 pounds this summer. Over the summer, 20 pounds. And this is the first time in 3 years that I've seen the scales go the other way. So that was a little scary. It wasn't, I knew that I was out of control. And that was That was scary. But how, after all of this time, can I be out of control? Well, I'm a sugar addict. Okay, so when I have a little bite of chocolate that somebody has shared with me, and yeah, it looked good, it's all a little bite of chocolate. Well, the next thing you know, boom, the sugar addiction kicks in, and just like an addict of any other substance, I'm looking for extra sugar here, extra sugar there, extra sugar anywhere I can find it, any kind of fast carbs, all of these things that come in a box and a bag, they break down to sugar as soon as they hit your bloodstream. Your bloodstream cannot tell the difference between a bag of potato chips and a donut and a couple of slices of bread. By the time it gets in your bloodstream, it's all sugar. So that happened, and my clothes started getting tight for the first time in 3 years. Going the wrong way, clothes are getting tight. But what really got my attention and snapped me out of it was when I realized I was getting depressed. When I realized, one day I was walking down the stairs and my ankle gave way. And I almost fell. My ankle just, without warning, gave way. And it's like, oh my goodness, that's what used to happen to me 4 years ago. Walking down the stairs, my ankle would give way. So the ankles were getting weak. My knees were starting to hurt. My hands were starting to cramp up. I couldn't play my guitar anymore. So it was actually the sickness that was back in. My brain most of all. I missed my brain most of all because after having gotten it back, after so many years of brain fog and depression, that was kind of my last straw. It's like, oh no, was that thing that came in a bag or came in a box, was that worth this pain? And no, it wasn't worth that pain. And I missed hamburgers, and I missed steak, and I even missed pot roast. I'm not a big pot roast fan. I eat them because I buy my cows a quarter or a half of it at a time, and they just, they only eat so much hamburger, right? So I eat the roasts. But that snapped me out of it, and I got back on. And I got back on because it felt better, and thank goodness my brain's back. That actually took a couple months for the brain to come back online. And the heels, the ankles, the knees, the hands. I have not started playing guitar again, but I could. My hands are working again. Yay. So things are great. Here was an interesting thing that happened though. When my clothes started to get tight, there were some people who were glad to see that I was going the wrong way. They actually said things like, see, that diet doesn't work. I told you that was not sustainable. You gained all your weight back already. There were people who said that to me after losing 80 pounds, keeping it off for a year and a half, and then I had this wild summer, gained 20 pounds pretty quick. And those are the things they said to me. So, first of all, I didn't answer a lot of those things because of who it was who was saying it to me, and I realized they were in a delicate position as far as where they were at in their lives. But when they said you've gained all your weight back, I had to put a stop to that. I said, no. I lost 80 pounds and have kept it off. This summer, I gained 20. I haven't gained it all back, and they backed off right away. But the bigger point in all that, it isn't a diet. This is not a diet. I've dieted all my life. This is not a diet. This is a lifestyle. This is a lifestyle change that I made. It was a huge upgrade for me to trade foods that are harming me, that things that I eat that harm my body. I traded those in for real food that nourishes my body. That's it. That's this diet. Yeah, diet. Diet are the things that you eat. Well, am I eating poison, or am I eating real food that's going to nourish my body? That's the change I made. And that's a change I plan to keep for the rest of my life. Am I ever going to have a whoops again? I hope not. I hope I learned enough, had enough pain over that this summer that I wouldn't do it again. But the fact is, we're surrounded by a lot of things we can't control. Things happen. We are human. We make mistakes. The biggest thing is, yes, I made a mistake. Yes, I got back on track. Yes, we make choices sometimes that we know are not in our best interest, right? Because we're all just a little crazy now and then. But thank God I got my brain back in line enough that I started doing the things that I know are good for me again, stopped doing the things that I know are harmful for me. So, and people who say those kinds of things to me, people who want to kick you when you're down, I spend a little less time with them now. So I'm turning my little ship around. I did want to come on and post a video. A lot of times when people disappear, you know, and it's been 4, 5, 6 months, it's been a while since I've made a video. Well, most of that is just because we've been busy this summer doing a ton of other things that were definitely not planned. And it took a lot of time and a lot of effort, a lot of energy to do those things. And then of course I had impaired energy and health because of some bad choices that I was making. So want to let you know, here I am. I did not gain it all back. I did have a oops. I am recovering from that oops. I'm recovering very well. And just wanted to check in and encourage you. If you've had a oops, if you've had a false start, if you've had 100 false starts, that doesn't mean that you can't start again. You can look at the things, what I choose to do, look at the things that caused me to go off the rails and try something different next time. You know, and for me, that's when somebody says, well, here, honey, just have this little piece of chocolate. I say, no, thank you. Oh, come on, just one little piece of chocolate won't hurt. Well, no, thank you. I'm not hungry. Oh, come on. You're not going to eat this chocolate. I mean, seriously, this is how bad it was. And, you know, and I had to get stern and say, no, I am not going to eat that chocolate. And that shuts them down. When they know you're serious, they stop pushing. You know, so anyway, my goal is to post a weekly video for you so you can watch the progress. There were, while I was losing weight, when I was starting to get some traction with this lifestyle, one of the things that helped me a lot was watching people who were also on the journey, and they were posting weekly. And, you know, sometimes I just feel like I don't have anything to say that's going to encourage somebody, and that may or may not be true. If one person is encouraged by one tiny little thing that I said, then it's worth it. It's worth it. I was encouraged by others, and I want to encourage you, but also sometimes just showing up one week to the next and saying, yep, I'm still here, I'm still doing this. I'm going to try to show you some of the things I'm eating because people like to see that. But then you'll be able to see the progress over time, which I hope is helpful. So next week I will be back. It is officially pie season, right? Candy season is over and it is pie season. So what I'm going to show you next time we come, I'm going to make a little low-carb egg custard that I learned how to make a few years ago, and that helps me out a lot when we just want a little something, you know. My little low-carb egg custard is something that we do enjoy this season, so I'll share that with you next time.